virtues, right? It's all about virtues, actually. So therefore, this actually is quite important, I think. I'm just saying that trying to maintain this, pure view. I'm not really saying pure view from the Mantrayana or Vajrayana point of view. We have that term, as I think most of you are aware with that. I'm not exactly referring to that, but you can also think from that point of view too, But generally, I'm just saying towards Buddha, towards Dharma, towards Sangha, especially to the Dharma. I think if we have this, kind of feeling, very pure, noble, humble feeling to the Buddha's teaching, we'll definitely have that kind of feeling to the Buddha himself as well. And then we also will have same kind of feeling to the Sanghas as well. So then they all sort of blend. And I think this is pretty much the essence of path. If I understand, I'm saying something very much in general. Like we always say there are different paths, like 5 paths, But really, what is that actual path? We speak about 5 paths, 10 bhumis, and then you can count them. But what does that really mean to you? It's a state of mind, actually, right? It's simply a state of realization, a state of knowledge, state of an understanding. More than that, it is a state of an experience, actually. Samsara is a state of an experience. Whatever we experience, other than our experience, there's nothing that we can really call it samsara. Like tree cannot have a samsara. How can tree have a samsara? Tree, house, these are not samsara. Same thing. It's all about that, actually. So therefore, the path, the bhumis, they sound very foreign to us, sometimes very strange to us. It's not foreign at all. We really are speaking about, our own experiences and experiences that perhaps we have not yet encountered, perhaps that we have not yet really, experienced yet. They're kind of hidden deep down inside our state of the mind. It's all about state of a mind, simply put. There is no 5, there is no 10, actually. We can say 5 paths, 10 bhumis. It doesn't mean there are literally 5 and you kind of go from one to the other. It's all in our mind, right? How much I developed, not developed, it's a development of the mind. Yes, so, therefore, when it comes to the samsara, yes, then all of the experience that we have, which is born from our karma, emotions, clinging, that pretty much, let's say, embraces what we call as our samsara, right? And then all the virtuous experience that we have from engaging in very tiny good activity of giving something to food, someone, and just having this really good, let's say, kindness, heart of kindness in you to someone. All these are virtues, actually. That's how everything, slowly and gradually grow. And this virtue state of the mind that we experience that are pure, why are they pure? They are pure because they are not influenced by, let's say, kleshas and karma, emotions, then they are always pure. Mainly attachment, aversion, ignorance, they are not exactly influenced by them. Some may be influenced a little bit, but they are still, pure, so to speak. And this is gradually how, let's say, we build this state, this ground, we can say, in our mind. And I think this is how, then yesterday we were discussing about the development of Buddha nature mind is perhaps born, from that point of view. So every aspect of the activity of our body, speech, and mind from the virtuous point of view really counts, because every one of them, is this ground or part of the, path to the enlightenment, right? So therefore, we should not think, oh, now I am doing these things. Someday, then I will belong to this path. Okay, right now I'm doing Ngondo stuff. And then after when I finish something, I kind of accomplish, then I will kind of get over there in this part, like grades. You are in the first grade, second grade, third grade, because you finish these books. And then you are, okay, now it's actually nothing like that at all. Like yesterday, Khenpo was saying, like, there isn't really, an end to this. Even after Buddhahood, there is no end to that, right? So therefore, it's mainly a state of, this, let's say, a growth in us, a very positive growth in us, actually, when it comes. I'm now speaking more about the path, actually, what this path really means. So everything counts, from doing Ngondo to taking of refuge to the bodhicitta, even saying Om Mani Padme Hum, just one single, chanting of any mantra. Every single of them count, actually. As long as my mind is pure, as long as my mind has all this respect. And then when you say that, I think that's very good meditation, actually. After all, there isn't really a meditation, right? Like yesterday Khenpo was saying, generally. What is exactly meditation, so to speak? Nevertheless, so I guess I'm saying that we are already on the path. I guess that's perhaps what I'm saying, no? I guess this seems like what actually I'm saying. And it is true. Even if you say Om Mani Padme Hum just like that, there is no really, a school to go to, like, okay, now you are done here, like in Kibi, now you go somewhere up there, and this is like where there isn't as such. Or let's say you are in the West, in your centers, and then you say, okay, now you have to go to Kibi for further development. It doesn't really work that way, actually. Whether you are in Kibi or whether you are in your center, it's all about learning. It's all about what I develop inside me. So therefore, like all of our forefathers developed all the qualities in a cave, no? Most of them, as far as I understand. If you read the life story of Marpa Milarepa, it sounds like they have been always in caves. What did they find in the cave, actually? Like how you develop these things in a cave. For us, it's like, oh, that is not a place to go to, develop. But then they did, because they didn't need anything outside. Everything you want to develop is inside your mind. And you are there, right? So you just look inside your own mind, I guess. But of course, you need all the conditions to develop that, in fact. So they have all the conditions in terms of knowledge, in terms of wisdom, and then, yes, we also have, to some extent, thanks to our lamas, thanks to all the sources of the Dharma. So it includes everything. It includes all the centers, all the monasteries. They are source of Dharma, if I understand it correctly, right? So really, there is no big difference. If there is a big house, big monastery, it doesn't necessarily mean there will be much better improvement there, as opposed to a very tiny center with 4 people. You think, oh, okay, this is just 4 people, so you can't develop much. Go there because there are thousands of people, develop further. That's so wrong, actually. Just because there are more people, more heads, doesn't mean there's more development, right? It's not about that, actually. You can develop anywhere, in your own tiny room, in your drawing room, I guess, or even in the bathroom. Well, that's not a very good example, but you never know where it will click, actually. No, honestly, I'm not just like we don't know when we are going to die. We think, okay, I will prepare for die. I will sit in meditation somewhere in front of Lama and I'll die. That's a good dream. One can dream like that. But you can die anywhere. You can die in toilet. You can die in a movie theater. You can die in a coffee shop. Well, we all know that. Same way, when we say about death, people get scared. Now, therefore, I'm using enlightenment. It's actually same. You can become enlightenment anywhere. That's why I said toilet. If it is time to go. There's nothing you can do about it. Whether it is samsara or whether it is nirvana, if it is time, it is time. It's like your time is up, your time is up. That's as simple as that. For anything, for samsara or for nirvana, right? But you need conditions, When it's up, you are up. Anyways, a lot of scattered things, I guess I said. I'm supposed to teach Buddha nature. I'm coming back to that. But really, I think all is good, no? What is there so much about Buddha nature also? So yesterday, yeah, I will continue. I briefly explained the two kinds of Buddha nature, which was the innately abiding Buddha nature mind, and then the developmental Buddha nature mind. There are two examples for that, and you'll find these examples in Buddha nature mind book by Maitreya, because he explains this Buddha nature mind through 9 examples, in fact. And also in Sutra Alankara, Ornament for Alankara, is a book by Maitreya himself. There are 5, we call 5 dharmas of Maitreya, 5 treatises of Maitreya, so it's one of them. In Sutra Alankara, Ornament for Sutra, there is one particular chapter actually, and this particular chapter is on the Buddha nature mind. It's very nice if you have, an access to that book, then, I recommend you to please read it because it's very beautifully explained. So in both the books, they give this pretty much the same example. For example, the example for innately abiding Buddha nature mind in both the book is hidden treasure. Hidden treasure. According to the book, and I think according to the way how treasure is understood, is that treasure is not something, nowadays I think it's different, it has a different meaning. Like we have treasure hunter, so kings and some people in the past, they kind of hide their gold, I guess, or their very, precious jewels. It's not that treasure actually, right now we're talking about. Treasure here is a treasure that's, naturally, let's say, hidden underneath the earth actually. And there is a point why we are kind of stressing on saying that it is, naturally hidden treasure. And like the innately Buddha nature mind is uncompounded is the word we use. We call it Dumache in Tibetan, uncompounded, meaning that this innately abiding Buddha nature mind, which is our very much the essence of our mind, which is union of clarity and emptiness, we're really speaking about that actually. So he says that this is that state of the Dharmakaya, of the pure nature of the mind, is beyond cause and conditions. It does not depend on any kind of cause or any kind of condition, cannot, create it actually. So therefore uncompounded. And so thus this example of the treasure, it says this treasure is in the same way, is self-born, so to speak. So from that point of view, it is quite a good example, in fact, And it is a treasure, and which means fulfilling the wishes of the sentient beings, correct? In the same way, Dharmakaya is the source of, 2 kayas, 2 rupa kayas, 2 form kayas, which in turn are source of, all the benefit that sentient beings receive, actually. So therefore, this example called innately abiding Buddha nature mind to the, hidden treasure. And developmental Buddha nature mind is compared to, we can say, wish-fulfilling jewel. But in the book, actually, it gives an example of bountiful tree. In Tibetan, we have, some terms like wish-fulfilling tree kind of thing, right? So it is actually compared to that. And again, there is a meaning in this, actually, great, let's say, meaning and a reason why this example is compared to the, this particular Buddha nature mind called developmental. From one point of view, the developmental Buddha nature mind is collection of, let's say, merits that one has over the period of, like, let's say, many, many kalpas accumulated, so to speak. This is an idea, actually, I think. Like, generating the bodhicitta, taking refuge, and then practicing the 6 kind of paramitas for many, many thousands and thousands of, I guess, kalpas. So then somehow we develop that, merit, and it's actually referred to that. This is one way of understanding that. So therefore, if you look at this, then it is something that is compounded, right? Because it is a merit that we accumulate through our body, speech, and mind. And therefore, it is an outcome of the actions of the body, speech, and mind. So if we think it from this point of view, this huge merit, this infinite merit is, compounded. But nevertheless, this very, merit is source of benefit, actually. Because according to these teachings, then, like I was saying yesterday, Dharmakaya is born from innately Buddha nature mind, let's put it this way. And then the two Rupakaya, form kaya, which is Sambhogakaya and Nirmanakaya, are born from developmental Buddha nature mind. Now again, I'm saying in a very common, mutual, general point of view, okay? And also then it fits this, connotation, this idea that the development of Buddha nature mind is source of two form kayas, and therefore it is compounded. I'm not sure if that kind of interests you. It interests me a little bit because of this different viewpoint. Like if you think of Buddha of our time, Buddha, Shakyamuni, he was born, and then he led a life as this Buddha, we call it in the Manakaya, and eventually he passed away. He left his body. So we literally see him as a person like us who was born and then who gradually, who experienced, birth, aging, sickness, and death. So like us. So from that point, but not from the point of view of his realization or state of his Dharmakaya state. But this is more about emanation state, because he is an emanation, right? So emanations. Therefore, and Sambhogakaya also, because Sambhogakaya, if Sambhogakaya, kaya here meaning form, if they do have a form, then form usually is impermanent, subject to change. Thus, the word compounded, actually. Anyhow, so I think this is quite maybe good way of explaining that, although some of our great teachers do not exactly agree with that. Like, from our own Kaju, let's say Master Third Kamapa Rangchung Dorje, then, yeah, I think especially Kamapa Rangchung Dorje. But I think, okay, we'll not go so much into that, actually. I think he's referring more to a different point, but nevertheless, there is slightly different viewpoint about that. I think generally then the difference actually is about the qualities of the Dharmakaya, qualities of the form kayas, So then there is slightly different viewpoint concerning these two aspects of these two Buddha nature mind. But we don't have to go into that unless you, go more depth into studies, then yes. But right now what we need to do is that, need to know is that we need to understand that whatever it may be, we have all the potential, in our mind of both, actually. Of both, so to speak. All this, also to give you some, more, let's say, slightly distinction between these two. Yesterday I did briefly mention, I guess, that every sentient being can sense danger, In the same way, every sentient being can sense kindness, sense compassion. Like we can even teach animals, right, They can be trained. I mean, in the world, there are these, animals that are trained. So that actually proves that they have this, like I was saying yesterday, we can say Buddha nature mind, but this is more from the point of view of, like I was saying yesterday, Rigpa, the awareness in them. Otherwise, it won't be possible for them to learn anything. But more than that, I really think they can sense kindness as well as hatred, as well as anger, right? I think all of we know that. That really is, a clue, a very good clue actually, a proof that every single sentient being has this quality of both the emotions and as well as the Buddha nature mind. In the book, it actually says that, the reason why we can experience, for example, renunciation is the word, literal word we use towards samsara, and then, this motivation to achieve enlightenment is all a sign or presence of Buddha nature mind. But that Buddha nature mind in particular is the function of the Buddha nature mind, of the developmental Buddha nature mind, not exactly the function of innately abiding Buddha nature mind actually. So yes, and then there are differences in, like I was saying yesterday, that whether or not they are awakened or not awakened, so to say. So these things. All right, that's pretty much the definition. In Gambupa's book, I'm not going to explain everything, but I just want you to know, because I think in a lot of the centers, perhaps you read the Gambupa's book, and in his book, he talks about 5 kinds of Buddha nature mind, which is actually, the source of that is again Sutra Alankara, this particular chapter in Sutra Alankara actually. So he speaks about 5 kinds of Buddha nature mind. The first 3 are the Buddha nature mind belonging to the 3 yana, Bodhisattva yana, Sharvaka, Pratyeka Buddha, and then the rest 2 are just common mutual ground, so to speak. So we'll not go into detail, but nevertheless, like I was saying yesterday at the very beginning, we can categorize them, but the reason why there is this category of this Buddha nature mind of the Hinayana and Mahayana, and 2 in Hinayana, actually is because of the goal. As far as the final goal, is concerned, there are actually 3 final goals, we can say, or 3 goals, not final goals, but 3 goals. For Bodhisattva, enlightenment is their goal, it is their achievement. And then for like Sharvaka and Pratyeka Buddha, their goal, final achievement is arhathood. And they do achieve that, but 2 different arhat. So I'm not going, because then you have to go a lot into these things, And so according to their own disposition, they really achieve that, so to speak. This is the reason why actually, the categories of the Buddha nature mind are divided. And this is also, about the 3 yanas, so to speak. And it's all, there's, of course, it's exactly same connection, the 3 yanas and the 3 kinds of, Buddha nature mind belonging to the 3 yanas. So I'm not going to go into that, but I would like to explain Buddha nature mind, in general, how it is explained also in Third Karma Padang Jundorji's book, as well as in the Buddha nature mind book. And that actually is very, I think, very, enlightening. So, as far as Buddha nature mind is concerned, there are 3, let's see, there are 3 categories we can say. The ground Buddha nature mind, and then the path Buddha nature mind, result Buddha nature mind. We can put it this way actually: path, ground, path, and result. In Gyulama, in Uttara Tantra Shastra, he doesn't exactly use the term called the ground, the path, and the result. But in Karmapa's book, he does use that, especially in his Samanangtan Inner Profound Meaning. He briefly explains the Buddha nature mind, and he used that, and in many other books also. But it has exactly same meaning. I think I want to use the term that we find in Uttara Tantra, because it's more, let's say it's more, easy to grasp, I would like to think, than using the ground, the path, and the result. So, according to him, according to this book called Buddha Nature Mind, he uses term like the impure Buddha Nature Mind and impure, pure Buddha Nature Mind and completely pure Buddha Nature Mind. The first, so now we'll discuss the first one. What does it mean by this completely impure Buddha Nature Mind? This is a Buddha Nature Mind, during the time of the ground period of the Buddha Nature Mind. So this is a Buddha Nature Mind inside us. So why it is called ground, why it's called impure. And then, it's quite easy to understand why it is. Buddha Nature Mind itself is not really impure or actually, but we have this impurity in our mind, which we called defilements, which we called obscurations. And these different types of obscurations, defilements, karma, emotions, they are the impure, okay? They are the impure. Buddha Nature Mind itself actually is not at all impure. But because at this point of time, since the Buddha Nature Mind is completely hidden from manifesting, and it remains as a dormant, I guess, among these obscurations. So we are not exactly directly see it, experience it. Therefore, it's called, that the ground Buddha Nature Mind or impure Buddha Nature Mind. So in Buddha Nature Mind book, and also in Third Karma Parang Dorje's book, he explains much in detail, and this is about samsara actually. So it's a good question, right? So like, what exactly is source of samsara? Is there a common source? Then this teaching about, impure state of the Buddha Nature Mind actually is taught. So how did samsara start? All that actually, it's about this. As we understand, that first, the answer is right when we say, oh, samsara is there because of our karma. It is actually true. But then, what brings about karma? Karma cannot just come around. So what brings about karma? Then, if you think of that, what you think? It's actually our emotions. Like when we get angry, we do something. When we when we experience attachment, we do something. And when we're ignorant, we do something. All these emotions in our mind, both the good and the bad, because of them, we behave in a certain way, maybe in a positive way, maybe in a negative way. So all these mental impressions of the negative emotions and positive emotions is actually the source of karma, right? It's source of karma. But then, where are these emotions come from? If you think of that, where are anger? Let's say, where is my anger exactly coming from? My attachment is exactly coming from. This love is coming from. Where my kind is coming from? That kind of question. And the answer is, all of these are actually born from attachment. But that is, attachment of the ego, this notion of I. So the very source of that notion of this I want this, I don't want this, I like this, I don't, it's all about I. From the time when we are born until we die, it's all about me, 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 and me actually. Always. Even if it is about others, it's about me actually. Why? Because it's attached with me. If they're not attached with you, you won't even bother thinking about them. So therefore, that attachment, right, is born from that. And then, where is that attachment born from? Like, where exactly? Why I am so attached to this, to me or to this self? The answer is, misconception, actually, misconception. Uh, Misconception, as in, actually confusion is also good, out of confusion. Because out of confusion, I think there is an I, even though there is no I at all. But out of confusion, I would like to believe this is me, and these are my, let's say, existence, all of that. So it's simply born from this state of an ignorance. We can also say ignorance, actually, confusion, ignorance, both are fine. And then, okay, then where is this ignorance born from? Okay, confusion born from. That answer to that actually is misconception, so to speak. There is a very, good term for that in Abhidharma teachings. It means the lack of, the definition of that is lack of the knowledge about the phenomena, actually. When we lack this knowledge about the truth about phenomenon, then we experience confusion. So as of now, I lack this knowledge about truth about my own existence, that there is no self. This is why I do not have the realization of emptiness at all, simply because of existence of one very tiny misunderstanding, not misunderstanding, let's say confusion, ignorance, and that misconception. And thus, actually really becomes the source of our attachment. In general, it is really about lack of knowledge, right? I like that, actually. We don't know something, and then we misperceive them. We pretty much misperceive everything. This is why yesterday in the Genla's teaching, when he was saying about the lying about everything, because we misperceive everything. Okay, misperceiving is fine. I think misperceiving is fine. But what is not fine is that thinking, believing that that misperception is not a misperception. That is where we went wrong, right? Misperceiving is all okay. But we don't just misperceive. We believe in that, actually. I mean, we believe that this misperception, not knowing that this is a misperception, we think it is a right perception, actually. Like about me, about other people, that everything is true, all that is simply a misperception. Out of that misperception, all the confusion is born, all the emotions are born, everything then just started, coming out of that. And then the whole samsaric experience, karma, emotion, everything is born. Until that stops, until this, our way of perceiving phenomenon, our way of misperceiving phenomenon stops, we'll never stop, creating karma at all. Because we'll never stop, experiencing emotions, right? So actually it's very good. This is why I said earlier, knowledge. So now let's say we learn, reflect, meditate. Especially, let's say, Madhyamika teachings. Teachings on, let's say, absolute nature of the phenomena, okay? Teachings, actually it can be any teaching, but let's say teachings on the absolute nature of the phenomenon. And then gradually we kind of figure out that a lot of things are really, I have perceived or misperceived a lot of things. First of all, I have misperceived that everything is kind of permanent. Let's put it this way. Because now I understand that it's not exactly everything's impermanent. Secondly, then I understand that, I misperceived that everything is, wonderful, that everything is all about joy. Because it's not. The fact is, it's not. So then you understand that, then this is how we gradually lose the misperceptions, which is very good. We need to lose the misperceptions because slowly and gradually we are gaining more and more, acquiring knowledge. So we build this, right? Step by step, learning, reflecting, meditating. Then we move up. And then we come to know that how we have been misperceiving I. That there is no I actually at all. There is no self at all. And then I think this is a stage where perhaps then we are very close to the true realization of the emptiness directly, correct? And that's because we are learning, reflecting, meditating. So far we have, let's say, being able to shade a lot and lots of gross misconceptions, misperceptions, emotions, all that, all the gross. And now we have come to this point where the core of those, the very subtle, the core perhaps of this attachment and misperceptions are left. We work further and further and further, and that very core, that very subtle misperception, misconception of phenomena existing truly, of self existing truly, when we lose that, we call it vajra, like meditation or something like that. Doesn't matter. It's basically it's a wisdom. Right there, then it clicks, just like that, so to speak. What clicks is truth clicks to us. Then I understand the absolute nature of the phenomenon, like the ultimate nature of the mind, right? Or phenomenon, actually. At that point of time, then there is no confusion in us at all. We see things as they are completely. And this is when we are beyond, beyond karma. Why? Because we are beyond experiencing all the emotions, because we have seen the emptiness nature of all of them. But until that time, until we get to this stage of the first bodhisattva bhumi, to that realization, then we still belong to this what we call as impure state. Okay, so again we have to keep in our mind, Buddha nature mind is the ground, right? Or impure, but please don't think that Buddha nature mind itself is impure. It is not. What is impure are the emotions are impure, all these misconceptions are impure, and they are adventitious. They are not integral part of the Buddha nature mind whatsoever. They have nothing to do with the Buddha nature mind whatsoever at all. And therefore, since they are adventitious, something external, okay? Therefore, they meaning all these obscurations can 100% be destroyed, 100% can be removed, actually, so to speak. And so this period, where sentient beings indulge in karma, emotion, and when we do nothing about our true nature, the mind, our Buddha nature mind, then that's really what we call as the impure state of the Buddha nature mind, the ground Buddha nature mind. The example for that, actually in the Buddha nature mind itself, there is a very example of water, 3 examples actually. Water, space, and wish fulfilling jewel. Water, yes, water, space, and jewel. Jewel as in actually gold in this case. Okay, so here all these 3, they have this common mutual, quality. So the common mutual quality between space, water, and jewel is that they are inherently pure. Always. Intrinsically, they are all pure, so to speak. In the same way, he's saying that this Buddha nature mind, even during the time of this period when sentient beings are going through all these samsaric experiences, as far as that innately abiding Buddha nature mind is concerned, it's always pure all along, actually. We don't do anything. It never changes. Like the water, it always says this, the water in its essence is always pure. In the same way, the Buddha nature mind always is pure in its essence. So this actually is quite, I think, important for us to differentiate, because when I said impure, then if you thought the Buddha nature mind is impure, no, actually. But it is called impure because, because it's hidden, beneath all these obscurations, right? Therefore, it's called impure. But again, in Shantideva's book, in the first chapter, I think it's like second or third stanza, there is this example of actually how a very dark night, stormy dark night, where you even cannot see your own face. Suddenly there is this lightning, boom, like this, and then it enlightens everything in that one moment. But that lightning is, from the point of view of period, it's a very short, it's an instant. But nevertheless, in this very dark, cloudy night, there was this lightning. And that very dark, cloudy night is an example of our own mind. And then lightning is an example of how, even though we, as a sentient being, while going through all this, let's say, emotions and obscurations, there are these occasions when Buddha nature mind, according to him, it actually is bodhicitta, that how sentient beings can experience bodhicitta, which is same like we see in Mahamudra, glimpses of true nature of the mind. There always are glimpses. How can not be? Because that is very much the ground for all these emotions that we have. It's there all along. Like you remember, we sometimes talk about perhaps in liberation through dream, like liberation through bardo, or even just the glimpses of the Buddha Dharmakaya. Why do we think that there is that? It's because it's always been there. That is why there is that possibility of recognizing the true nature of the mind, given that you have the right kind of condition in your dream or in your bardo time, or just generally. It always is there actually. It's always there all along, together with this mind that we have actually. This is why I said earlier that it can click anywhere actually. You can be saying Om Mani, perhaps saying Om Mani Padme Hum can click it to you, just a glimpse, very short. And I'm just saying that these are the proof actually that these teachings about mind, about Buddha nature mind by Buddha, we are the proof actually that this is true. Because we are the one with all these qualities, and we are the one who actually have those experiences. So that's why. Yeah. So there are many ways of knowing that. Perhaps this is what I'm saying, right? I gave you some examples earlier, but there are many ways of knowing it. Knowing what? Many ways to know that we have wisdom in us. A wisdom that is part of the Buddha inside me, the Buddhahood inside me. It's part of that. We have a way to experience that through our own little knowledge and wisdom, I guess. Especially when there is a lot of learning, reflecting, meditating, right? They always can grow. So therefore, really, it's very much achievable, right? We don't have to achieve it. I mean, the word sometimes obtain, we already have it, right? We actually already have it. It's just a matter of truly and directly seeing it, true and directly experiencing it. Yes, I think so. That's it. There's a line. There are lines actually in this Buddha nature mind and many other that kind of says that, that it's all about, you see, there's nothing to abandon, there's nothing to achieve. It's simply, knowing it actually. Knowing what? Simply coming in terms with it actually, that's it. We think there are a lot of things we do, like we throw out a lot of bad things, and we think we sort of accumulate a lot of good things. And through these good things, then Buddha is born. It's all an illusion. It's not at all what happens. At the end of the day, we actually have done nothing from those point of view. There was nothing to be removed. There was nothing to be achieved. Just like this gold, so to speak. That's what, because it's been there all along, all the time, even in this very period, even when we are going through a lot of emotions. Sometimes we hear that emotions can help you to really click that Buddha nature mind, right? But perhaps this is maybe more for advanced, practitioner. So perhaps we shouldn't try that. I mean, maybe it is not a good advice to say that actually. But sometimes I hear that, maybe these Mahasiddhas, they try to build this emotion in them to double check their realization. They want to know if they still have some kind of lingering, emotion in them. So they try to become very angry. It's how some life stories, some teachings actually mentions about that. But no, really, sometimes it does say that through this very intense emotion of some kind, that can be that one shot that perhaps I was looking for, where it then clicks that, enlightening state of the mind perhaps. So you never know. Maybe anger can be very helpful. No, not maybe our anger actually, but generally speaking, you never know. It is not always a good thing that supports it. That's kind of illusion in us actually. Earlier I said a lot of things about good, but perhaps this also, after all I need is this one single condition. And but I'm not encouraging us to have emotions. Please don't think that way. I'm just simply stating something that I have read somewhere. So, but maybe it's good to focus, no? Really, you never know. You may be angry and next moment, boom, there's the bodhicitta. It's all possible. Everything is possible actually. Everything, you can do anything in the space, so why not? But please don't harm yourselves doing those things, If you're harming yourself, we should never do it, So we must first know whether I am harming myself or not. If you're still fine after all these things, well, don't do it actually. All right, I guess I have to stop, right? Okay, so I'm going to stop now and say dedication. Sunam dia tamche zikpa nye tomna nye pe dana pamche che ga na che balai tupa ye seben tolen dowa dolwa re sho. Thank you, everyone.
Dear friends, could everybody just sit down for a short announcement, please? Thank you. Registration is open for those who haven't registered until 6 p.m. And you'll need the ribbon to get into all the talks and get the meals. We are still looking for volunteers for lunch. If you want to help serve, just come about 10 minutes before lunch and talk to Will, or one of the organizers there. And I'm still looking for somebody that can help me on the technical side. You don't have to know how everything works, but just to help the translators with various things. And that's it. Thank you.
Check, 1, 2, 3, check. Check, 1, 2, 3. Oh. Check, 1, 2, 3. 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 Something's so freaking wrong with this. Check, 1, 2, 3. Check. Check, 1, 2, 3. Check, 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3, check. Check 1, 2, 3, check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3, check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3, check 1, 2, 3, check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3. Check 1. Check 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Check. Check 1, 2, 3. Testing. Check 1 2 3. 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 Check 1. Check 1 2 3.
No.
Kanan?
You know what? This headphone makes noise.
Headphone? I see.
Yeah. Let's not use this one. It's the noise is going through the headphone into this. from the headphones into the recorder. Actually, what did I do to my glasses?
Yeah.
My vision's so bad I can't read unless I take it off.
Okay.
So what I want to do is take, this is aux 2, is that? Yeah, this is aux 2, it's going to the camera.
No. Yeah, camera.
Aux 1's going to the Q&A. So aux 2, I want to have 2 outputs, one goes here, one to the camera. So we can get a splitter, something that'll take this and split it into 2 signals.
How it look? Can you show me?
Okay. Let's go to the inside. I think it's the radio's right here.
Sure. Somebody go there or something, right?
Okay.
You can browse. So 11 o'clock.
Yeah, what time is it?
10 minutes.
Oh, wow, I should start the stream. Let me start streaming.